All right, hey there everybody. We're back with another Ride Series how-to, and this time we're gonna focus on technical lifts. You ready? All right, let's talk one of my favorite components of the Ride Series MTB Skills Clinics. That's technical lifts. Also happens to be one of the most frustrating. And why is that? Well, my opinion, it's because people try to muscle up. They try to use brute force to get up these lifts. And that's not the way to do it. We want to teach you the technique so you can apply the technique and clean those areas every time. We don't want you to get lucky. So what is the technique? It's a simple lift and shift. So one of the best things I was ever told by my big brother Rob was minimize the drama. Well, what does that mean? Well, what it means is only do what you need to do. Don't do any more. I'm standing on a 12-inch box. So what does that mean? How much do I need to lift? 12 inches? Probably not. Probably only need to lift 8. But once I make that lift and the front wheel is up where it needs to be, the lift is over. I need to think about the shift. So I get the lift, then I transfer right into the shift. Simple, right? Well, let me show you how to do it. So as we roll up, what we need to think about here is this imaginary barrier, this wall coming vertically up from the lift. And the reason I want you to imagine that is because as soon as I get the front wheel right here, the lift is over. I need to start thinking about the shift. But let's back up. How do we initiate that? Well, as I'm coming up to this obstacle, my technique is I'm in the saddle. Okay, and I'm in the saddle because I want to be able to rock back on the saddle. So as I approach, the timing is imperative. I'm going to see what I'm coming up to. I'm going to enter with my elbows open, okay, torso's high. As I get close enough, what I'm going to do is drop my torso down and then fire my torso back. My hands are holding onto the bars. If I throw my torso back, that's going to initiate lift on the front. Now, here's where it gets a little technical. I'm gonna then add in to the pedals. So what I'm gonna do is, for me, my right side is the dominant side. So what I wanna do is, as I get to this position, I wanna have my pedals where I'm ready to give about a quarter turn of input as I fire back. So what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna fire back my torso, pull back on the grips as I push away with the pedals. So what that'll do is that'll allow me to get the bike up, and as soon as I break that vertical plane, the idea then is shift forward. Now here comes the tricky part. I can't pedal up this obstacle. So after I get that quarter turn of input with the pedals, I then need to ratchet back and level the pedals out. I want to have a level base to then stand up on, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. I call it the Eddie the Eagle. Okay, seat is up. I come in open, close, open, shift into that Eddie the Eagle, and I can pedal right out of it. All right, I'm convinced everybody watching can do this. Lift and yank the bike up. I don't want you to do that. And the reason is a situation like this. In the saddle, rocking back with your torso and using that pedal input, because now all I'm gonna do is repeat it to get over this. We're in the saddle, close, open, shift, close, open, shift. So now we've upped the land wave ramps 24 inches tall. So what changes? Really not much. The technique is still going to apply, but here's what you need to think about is, as it gets higher, the window is gonna close, meaning once I get my lift, I'm gonna have to very quickly make that shift happen, because if I don't, I'm gonna bash the chain guide right up here on top of this deck. So it's important. This isn't about power. Most people default more power. They try to muscle it up when it gets bigger. You have to stay with the technique. You have to get the lift, then you have to get the shift and apply the pull, and it'll all work out. All right, you approach, seat up, drop, get that lift, and right up. All right, so one of the keys here is to not overlift. We've already talked about this. So what that means is, this is 24 inches. I literally wanna get 22, 23, 24. I wanna get right on top of this deck. And the reason is, if I lift too much, what's gonna happen is I'm now closing the window for me to then get that shift. So if I lift and keep moving forward and drop here, I'm gonna smash that thing up. I don't wanna do that. I wanna get just enough so I can set the front down and then start my shift and bring the back right up. Okay, here we are on a trail setting, roughly 12-inch lift. So similar to what you saw in the controlled environment. So what are we gonna do here? Same thing we did in that area. All we're gonna do is focusing on using our torso to initiate the lift, getting the pedal punch in there, and then shifting our weight forward. Keep it simple. Focus on technique, not power. All right, guys, as you can see with the bike orientation, things are getting a little spicier. So we've added an incline. We got a massive lift here. It's probably about 22 inches, and it's also jagged rock. So you don't want to miss here. How are we going to do that? Well, same thing is going to apply. We need to get our lift, and we need to get our shift. But with this, and something this size, what's going to happen is I'm going to start to shift before the lift is complete. So the lines are getting blurred between 1 and 2. A little more technical, but if you really think about it and work your way up, it's something you can implement. Okay, so the lift is pretty tall, some potential for chain ring danger here. So what did we do to alleviate that? Simple. Take a look down here. We installed the MRP XCG bash guard. So very low profile, very light bash guard. Now, if I happen to mistime the lift, the bash guard is going to take the brunt of it, not my chain. So there you have it. Technical lifts. It's as simple as lift and shift. Now, in actuality, it's pretty difficult. One of the most frustrating elements of the Ride Series MTB Skills Clinics. If you simply think about what are you trying to accomplish and using technique. Don't power through this, don't get lucky. Think about the technique, rationalize the technique, and simply apply the technique. Now, we ended here on this 2-foot lift with these land wave boxes. I'd venture to say this is pretty aggressive. 2 feet, it's a pretty decent lift for most people. Now, I think you have it in your wheelhouse. You just need to really apply the lift and the shift and focus on the technique on a smaller lift and then slowly transfer it up. The technique is the same. The window just closes. Go out, get them. Join us for our next Ride Series how-to very soon.